Apunte! Consumatum est!
Good day, I am Camille Mahinay, and today we are going to discuss Chapter 6, the Preface and some important annotations. So the learning objectives of this discussion is to first recognize the preface of Rizal's works, specifically Noli Me Tangere. Secondly, discuss some important annotations.
The Preface.
The preface is an introductory part of a novel, textbook, magazines, or any books. It states the subject, the scope, or aims of a book. It is more likely the prologue of a novel. So something like that. In the novels of Jose Rizal, his prefaces are beyond knowledge and patriotism. His forewords embodies realizations and empowerment of the Filipinos. With Jose Rizal, Europe 1889 as a signature, Rizal had the following preface to his works, and it was basically translated into English. It was called to the Filipinos in Noli Me Tangere. I started to sketch the present state of our native land, but the effect which my effort produced made me realize that before attempting to unroll before your eyes the other pictures which were to follow, it was necessary first to post you on the past. So you can fairly judge the present and estimate how much progress has been made during the 3 centuries. So it was during the ruling of the Spaniards. It is then the shade of our ancestor civilization which the author will call before you, if the work serves to awaken in you a consciousness of our past and to blot from your memory or to rectify what has been falsified or is coming. Then I shall not have labored in vain. With this preparation, slight though it may be, we can all pass to study of the future. So, the quote, it was the annotations to Dr. Antonio Morga in Sucesos de las Islas Filipinas. The preface of Jose Rizal's Noli Me Tangere is a contemplation during the era of Spanish colonization. His intentions were to give an accurate portrayal of the country's condition at that time and gives reader idea what would be the flow of the novel or the theme would be. As he wrote on his dedication page in Noli Me Tangere, it was quote, I will strive to reproduce thy condition, been falsified faithfully without discriminations. I will rise part of the veil that covers the evil. Rizal wants the future generation to know the truth, nothing but the truth. To give the Filipinos the freedom we deserve, to awaken our consciousness and correct what has been falsified. Some important annotations. Annotations are somewhat side comments, a note of explanation basically. So Rizal's annotations were written by Dr. Antonio Morga. It was entitled Sucesos de las Islas Filipinas, that it was translated by Rizal's biographer, Austin Craig. Antonio Morga technically was the one to first wrote and publish the Philippine history. He also critiqued Father Quirino's work that was printed in Rome in 1604. He stated that it is more likely a chronicle of the missions, Christianity, than a history of the Philippines. But Father Quirino admits that he didn't write political history because Dr. Morga already made one. Maybe he rather liked it to be in a different way since Morga had done it, and also Father Quirino is a missionary. For Dr. Morga, Roman Catholic is by fire and sword. Since Spaniards came to spread Catholicism, but their way of spreading it was with the use of cruelty, war, abuse, injustice, poverty, and corruption. But for Flanders, these ways were not just efficient to keep the church unchanged, maintain its supremacy, or hold its subject. So, kingdoms in Europe such as Spain, Portugal, Italy, France, Greece, Africa, and Polynesia discover the unknown parts of the world, as they sail across the world. During the expedition, it was captained by Columbus and Magellan. Additionally, Spaniards were not able to convert the people of the Philippines. Mohammedans, Moros, which are the Muslims native in the Philippines, Negritos, and Igorots, still occupy the bigger areas of the archipelago, the Luzon region, and in the Mindanao region. So, the islands early held by the Spaniards or the Spanish colonizers soon lost, and those islands they lost were non-Christian islands like Formosa, Borneo, and the Moluccas. Filipinos before are not really unprotected before the coming of the Spanish colonizers. Pirate raids from the islands technically had arms and were able to defend themselves. But after they were disarmed, the pirates used violence, so they steal their weapons to defend themselves. So the pirates steal their weapons, and they use violence during the time when the government cannot protect those people, the Filipino people. So in this time, corruption arises, abuse, and injustice are prevalent at this moment. That's why rebellion started, or rebellion arises. So the islands, Philippines before were under Spanish ruling. The Philippines was actually their annex, the branch of their business, somewhat like that, faraway province of Spain. Since Philippines is rich in spices and many more, Filipinos were oppressed, so they technically owned our country. We have something to give to that they can benefit of. So they oppressed us, abuse, and yes, they treat us with friends with benefits. So Spaniards indeed brought war to the gates of the Filipinos. Figuratively, the Spaniards served as a hot spoonful of food to swallow. So they triggered us to make war, to rebel, because they did us wrong. They are corrupt, they abuse their power, they are unrighteous. So some historians even falsified to understand that their way of us being under them is to make peace, which is technically not true. Furthermore, we were basically made just like their underdogs, their dogs. Furthermore, Cebu, which Morga calls the city of the most holy name of Jesus, was at first called the village of San Miguel. The image of the Holy Child of Cebu, which many religious writers believe was brought to Cebu by the angels, was in fact given by the worthy Italian chronicler, we know who already that was that, of Magellan's expedition, the Chevalier of Pigafetta to the Cebuana Queen. So the expedition of Villalobos, Roy Lopez de Villalobos, intermediate between Magellan's and Legazpi's, gave the name Filipina. So it was basically from the King of Spain, King Philip II, the 16th century king. So he gave us the name Filipina to our country, to one of the southern islands. So Tindaya, and now perhaps Leyte, and this name later was extended to the whole archipelago. So during the expedition of Fray Lopez de Villalobos to the region, the Spanish sailor Bernardo de la Torre gave the name Las Islas Filipinas on the islands of Leyte and Samar in honor of the then Prince Asturias, the heir to the Spanish throne at that time. So, despite the existence of other names, Filipinas was eventually adopted of the entire archipelago, in the entire country. So before the name Filipinas, there were also many names before that, such as Mai, spelled as M-A-I, a Chinese local name from the book of Zhu Fanzi, written in 13th century during Song Dynasty, according to Zhu Rogna. And the other names were La Islas de Ponteniente, means islands to the west, Las Islas de San Lazaro, Las Islas Filipinas, and Pearl of the Orient Seas, which is now the nickname of the Philippines.
So that's it, and thank you for watching.